So now we are going to create a very simple notes app over here where the user will be allowed to create a new note in this case. So when we click on this button, that is create note, basically a text area will be created where the user will be allowed to provide the note. So let us say we provide this is note 1 over here. So this is the user defined data that is provided. Apart from this, we can create more notes in this case. So basically when we click on the create note once again, so as you can see, another note is created over here along with the button that is remove. So simply we will say subscribe to this YouTube channel, that is programming for beginners. So guys, basically we have this another note over here that is provided by the user, and then let us say after the completion of the first note, the user wants to remove this note. So simply we can click on the remove button over here. So the first note is removed. So guys, this is a very simple notes app using HTML, CSS and JavaScript. So let us move to VS Code. So let us create a new folder inside the projects folder over here. So we have this notes app folder that we have created, inside which we are going to create 3 files, that is index.html file, then we have the style.css file, and then in the end we have the script.js file, inside which we are going to write our JavaScript code. So over here we have created all the 3 required files inside the notes app folder. Now guys, over here inside the index.html, let us create the basic template of the HTML, and then simply we will say notes app by programming for beginners. So guys, this is the name of this YouTube channel which you should definitely subscribe if you have not done so, in order to learn about HTML, CSS and JavaScript and many other programming languages. Now guys, apart from this, let us also link the style.css file over here to this HTML file. So simply we are going to make use of the link tag over here, and also just before the ending body tag in this case, we are going to provide the path to the script.js file in this case. So let me just save this file now. Let us also provide certain styling attributes to the body of this web page. So over here inside the style.css file, let us provide the margin as 0 pixels over here. Also we will provide the padding as 0, and in this case we are going to provide the background color as well. So let me just set the background as linear gradient in this case, so that it looks more decent over here. So guys, the entire web page will have the linear gradient. So what will be the color that we want to set? So let me just set the color as dark blue over here. So we will select a shade of the dark blue in this case, and then after this the second color, let me just set it as green over here. Now let me just adjust the shade of the dark blue color over here to a lighter version, and also the green color as well, so that we have lighter background color for the entire web page. So as you can see, these are the colors that we have set, and also very important, we need to set the 100% width and height as well, so that the linear gradient can be displayed on the web page. So guys, when we save this file now, let me just click on the go live server over here. So as you can see, this is the web page that is getting displayed over here with the background color. Let me just adjust the VS Code and the browser screen as well. So now we are able to see our code on the left hand side, and whatever changes we make on the left hand side will be reflected on the right hand side by using the live server over here. Now guys, what we will do is simply we are going to create a div tag with the class container in this case, inside which we are going to have the h2 tag, that is heading over here, and then we will say notes app in this case. Let me just save this file now. As you can see on the right hand side, we are now able to see the changes. Apart from this, we are going to have the button as well. So simply we are going to create the button, and then we will say create note over here as the inner HTML for this button. Let me just provide the ID as button create over here. So this is the button that we have created. Let us also provide certain styling attributes to the container div tag over here. So simply we will provide the class name, that is container. Let me just provide the width of 250 pixels over here. Apart from this, we will also provide certain background color. So it should be a shade of the yellow color. So simply let me just adjust the yellow color over here as the background color for this div tag. So this is the background color that is getting displayed over here. Let me just adjust it to more lighter version of the yellow color. So this is the yellow color that we have selected. Now guys, apart from this, let me just also provide the margin from top over here. So from top and bottom we will provide 20 pixels, and from left and right we will provide auto, so that the entire div tag is at the center of the screen. So when we save this file now, you can see that the container is now at the center of the screen with equal margin from the left and right as well. Apart from this, let us also provide certain padding to this div tag. So in this case, we are going to provide the 20 pixels padding from top and bottom and 10 pixels padding from left and right. So this is the padding that we have created over here, and we will also provide the border radius. So let us say we provide 20 pixels of border radius in this case, and also we will provide the box shadow over here. So we provide 5 pixels horizontal and vertical box shadow and 10 pixels of blur effect, and the color that we want for the border is the black color. So as you can see, the box shadow is getting displayed over here. Let me just reduce the border radius as well to 10 pixels in this case. This is the container that is getting displayed over here, inside which we are going to provide our text area so that the user can provide the required nodes as well. Now guys, let us also provide the styling attributes to the create node button over here. So simply we will say button create, that is the ID of this button. We will provide it inside the style.css file with the use of the hash character, and then for this we will say border, it is equal to none over here, and also we will say outline, it is equal to none in this case, and we will provide the background color as the blue color over here. Let me just adjust the shade of the blue color in this case. So this is the color that we can set over here. Apart from this, we will also set the padding. So let us say we want the padding of 5 pixels from top and bottom and 10 pixels from left and right over here. Apart from this, let us also provide the border radius of 10 pixels in this case. So this is the button that is getting displayed over here. Let us also provide the cursor, it is equal to pointer, so that when the user gets the mouse cursor on this button, it is converted to a hand tool over here. And also we want to scale it down to 90%. So let me just copy the button create ID, and we will provide the hover effect by using the hover pseudo element, and then we will have the transform CSS property, for which we will use the scale function. It should be 90%. So guys, basically when we get the mouse cursor on top of this ID, that is button create, which is this particular button, the button size should scale down to 90% from 100% of its original size. So when we save this file now, let us see how it works. So as you can see, it is decreasing its size to 90%, and this is one of the animations that you can provide in your project. Now let us provide the text area below this create node button over here. So simply inside this container, we are going to create another div tag with the class content over here. So guys, basically this is the div tag with the class content, and then we are going to have the p tag, inside which the user will be allowed to provide the input. So guys, over here we need to provide the attribute that is content editable. If we are setting this to true in this case, then the user will be allowed to provide the content inside the p tag. By default, the paragraph tag is just a sample text which doesn't allow the user to provide the input, but in this case, since we have provided the content editable attribute over here, which is equal to true, the user will be allowed to provide certain input in this case. Apart from this, let us also provide the class, that is input box over here. Now guys, we are providing the class attribute. Since we cannot use the ID attribute over here, that is because continuously we are going to create this div tag with the class content when we are going to click on this particular create node button. So guys, basically we are going to have the multiple tags over here with the same set of attributes. That is why we cannot have ID, we need to have the class attribute over here. Apart from this, we will also have the button that is going to have the remove text over here, so that we allow the user to remove this entire node that is provided by the user. So let me just provide the ID for this button as well. So simply we say button remove in this case. So let me just save this file now. As you can see, this is the way that our div tag with the class content is getting displayed. Let me just provide certain text inside the paragraph tag over here. This is the text that is getting displayed over here, inside which we can provide our own content due to this content editable attribute. Now let us provide certain styling attributes to the paragraph tag and the button over here. So let me just copy this class name, that is input box, and then we use the dot character followed by the input box over here. Now what we want to do is, we don't want any border in this case, so border it is equal to none, and also the outline it is equal to none over here. Apart from this, we will also set the width to 90% of this entire div tag that is present inside the nodes app container over here, and then we will also provide the height as well. So let us say we provide the height of 100 pixels over here. Let me just save this file. As you can see, this is the paragraph that is getting displayed over here. Let us also provide the background color of white color in this case. So this is the white color that you can see. So guys, it is not going well with this particular background color, that is lighter version of the yellow. So let me just change this color over here of the container. Let us provide little bit darker version of the yellow color. So now if we see, this is the text area that is getting displayed over here. Let us also provide certain spacing, that is the padding inside the text area. So we provide the padding of 10 pixels over here. So this is the space from the top and from the left, right, and from the bottom as well. Now guys, apart from this, we want this remove button to be present on the bottom right within this particular div tag that is content over here. So how do we do that? So first of all, we need to make this content, that is div tag, have the position equal to relative over here. So simply we will say dot content, and for this we are going to provide the position attribute which should be relative over here, so that for this remove button, which is the child element of this content div tag, we can provide the position equal to absolute and then place it at the bottom right of this particular content div tag. So guys, over here let me just copy the class of this button, and basically it is not the ID, we should set it as class because we are going to create multiple buttons when we click on the create node over here. So simply let me just copy the button remove class over here, and then we will paste it after the dot character. What we have to do is, first of all, we need to provide the position it is equal to absolute, and when we save this file now, there is no change that you can see over here. Simply let me just provide the bottom it is equal to 10 pixels over here, and also the right it is equal to 10 pixels. So now as you can see, the button is aligned to the bottom right of this entire div tag, which is having the background color as the white color over here, and this is what we wanted. So guys, let me just reduce the spacing from the bottom to 5 pixels over here. So in this way you can provide the spacing for the required button inside the content div tag. Now user can simply provide the nodes over here. This is JavaScript series, and then accordingly, based on the completion of the node, basically the user can click on the remove in order to remove this entire div tag having the class content over here. So we will handle that by using the JavaScript code. So guys, this is the basic template that we have created for this particular div tag that is getting highlighted over here. We are going to create this by using the JavaScript code during the runtime. So let me just comment out these lines of code so that there are no nodes that are provided by default over here. So first of all, let us go to the script.js file in this case, and we need to identify the create node button over here. So simply let me just copy the ID, that is button create this time. So what we will do is, simply we will identify the button. So we will use the query selector, and then we are going to make use of the ID, that is button create over here. Let me just provide the variable on the left hand side, that is button create. So guys, by using this button create, we are going to listen to the click event over here. So we have the add event listener, followed by the first parameter will be click, and then followed by the callback function. So let us say we provide the function name, that is add note over here, and then simply we are going to create a new function, in this case that is add note. What this function will do, as I have told you, we are going to create all these elements that are HTML elements by using the JavaScript code over here. So first of all we need to create the div tag. So let us do that. Basically we need to provide document followed by dot, and then we have the create element method inside which we are going to provide the tag name. So this should be within the single or the double quotes, and then as you can see this is the div tag that we want to create, and let us store it inside another variable, that is div over here. Now guys, for this div tag what we have to do is we need to set the class as content, so that the required styling attributes can be applied automatically by using the style.css file. So guys, over here let me just copy the class name, that is content in this case. So we will say div followed by dot, and in order to add the class simply we use the class list over here, and then followed by dot we have something called as add method in this case, as you can see. So this add method will take one parameter, that is the name of the class that we want to add. So we have copied the content class over here. Apart from this, is there any other attribute that we need to set for the div tag? No, for now. So basically we have to move forward and create this paragraph tag now, which should have the class input box. So let me just copy the class over here. Let us come on the next line, and then once again we will say document followed by dot, and then we have the create element this time, and then once again we are going to provide the p tag over here, so that we create the paragraph and store it inside the variable, that is p over here. After this we need to make use of this variable, that is p followed by dot, and once again we use the class list and add the class name over here that we have copied. So we have the input box class over here, and in order to add this particular attribute we need to have this attribute so that we allow the user to provide the required content inside the text area. So what we can do is simply copy this attribute over here, and we have the set attribute method. So simply we provide p followed by dot, and then we have the set attribute which sets the value of element's first attribute whose qualified name is qualified name to value. So basically we need to provide the first parameter, that is attribute over here, followed by comma, and then second parameter will be value in this case. So what is the value? We want to set it as true over here. So content editable must be true in this case, and this is how we have set the class and the attribute for this p tag. Now guys, let us move to the button tag over here. So simply we need to add one class, that is button remove, and also we want to set the inner HTML for this button. So let me just come to the next line over here. We will say let button it is equal to, and then we will say document, and then once again we will use create element method. This time we will use the button tag over here. So let me just select the correct variable, that is button. It should have the class, so we have the class list followed by the add method, and this is the class, that is button remove over here, as you can see. Apart from this we want this remove text to be set inside the button. So simply we will say btn followed by dot, and then we have the inner HTML, it is equal to, simply on the right hand side we will provide the string, that is remove over here. So guys, we have created the div tag, the paragraph tag, and the button tag over here. The paragraph and the button tags needs to be added inside the div tag. So what we can do is simply we will use the div tag followed by dot, and then this time we are going to make use of the append child in order to add the tag over here. So first of all we add the p tag over here by using the p variable, and then again we are going to duplicate this line of code, and next line we are going to have the button variable. So we have added both the paragraph and the button inside the div tag over here. Now guys, this particular div tag must be present inside the div that is having the class container over here while we are clicking on the create node. So what we can do is let us identify the container div tag over here once again. So in this case we will come at the top of the program over here. So inside the JavaScript code we have the document followed by the query selector, and this time we are using the class, so we have the dot container. So simply we will say container as the variable on the left hand side. Now guys, we can make use of this container in order to add the div tag over here. So simply we use container followed by dot, and then we have something called as append child over here, which should be having the parameter that is div tag that we have created, which is having the paragraph tag and the button tag over here, and all the required classes also we have set, which will have their own styling attributes over here. So let me just save this file now. Let us see what happens when we click on the create node over here. So when we click on the create node, as you can see, there is a div tag with the class content that is getting created, and the required paragraph and the button tag is also getting added over here. And simply we will say this is note 1 in this case, and whatever note that the user wants to add can be added over here inside this particular text area. Apart from this, the user should be also able to remove this particular note. So when we click on this remove, nothing is happening now. That's because we have not provided the required JavaScript code over here in order to remove the div tag. So we will see that as well in the next function. So guys, over here what we will do is we need to identify this particular button that we have created during the runtime. So guys, we cannot identify it outside of this particular function. That's because we are creating it during the runtime over here when the user clicks on the create node. So what we will do is simply we are going to create a variable and keep it as a blank string over here, that is button remove in this case, and then after appending the child, that is the div tag, to the container, we are going to initialize this button remove over here. So simply we will say button remove, it is equal to, we need to find this particular element which is having the class that is button over here. So simply we will say document followed by dot, and then we have the query selector, and then we will use this class that we have already provided, that is button remove. We provide dot character followed by button remove over here, and then we can make use of this button remove variable in order to add the event listener over here. We will listen to the click event, and let us say we want to remove the node. So simply we provide remove node callback function, which we have to define now. So guys, basically this is the function that will be called. So let me just define the remove node function over here, and then inside this, when the user clicks on the remove button, the function that is remove node will be called over here. So let us confirm that as well. What we will do is we will simply provide the console.log statement, and when we click on this particular button, there will be an event that will be triggered. So that event we are going to catch as a parameter, which will have the name as event over here. And let me just simply display the event on the console section of the browser over here by using the console.log statement. So let me just save this file now, and then let me just open the inspect option of the browser. Let me just maximize this browser so that you can see the console section more clearly. So over here, let us go to the console section, and then when we click on the create node button, as you can see, a new node is created over here. And when we click on the remove button, so let me just click over here, you can see that a pointer event is getting triggered over here. And then inside this we have something called as target attribute. So we need to focus on the parent element that is getting created over here. So guys, basically this is the div tag with the class content, which is having one of the child as a button that is having the class button remove over here. So basically when the user clicks on this remove button, the entire div tag must be removed, which means the parent of this particular button must be removed, which is the div tag with the class content over here, and that is what we want to find in this case. So inside the event we have something called as target attribute, and inside the target we have something called as parent element. So if you scroll down little bit, in the end you will see over here, after expanding, there is something called as parent element over here. And when we get the mouse cursor, you can see that div.content, which is the class of this particular div tag, and on the left hand side the area is getting highlighted when we get the mouse cursor over here, and this is the content that we want to remove when we click on the remove button. So what we can do is simply we can go to the event followed by target and then parent element over here. So let me just comment out this line of code. Only one line of code is required in order to remove the entire parent element in this case. So whatever event is triggered, we need to go to the target part followed by dot, and let me just copy from this particular console section so that we don't do any spelling mistake over here. So we provide the parent element followed by dot, and then we have something called as remove method over here. So this is the way that we provide the parent element in this case. So whatever element is clicked, and if you want to get the parent element out of it, we provide event followed by dot, and then we have target inside which we have the parent element that will point to the parent of that particular button over here, and then we can carry out the activity based on our project requirement. So when we save this file now, and let me just create the note over here, and when we click on the remove button in this case, as you can see, the note has disappeared over here. So guys, this is the way that the remove button will also work. Let me just also provide certain styling attribute to the remove button as well. So what we will do is, let me just uncomment these lines of code over here, and then simply for this remove button we are going to create some styling attributes. So let me just provide the button remove class name inside the style.css file, and then what we will do is simply we will have certain background color. We will have the red version of the background color since we are removing the note in this case. So this is the red background color. Apart from this, we will set the border, it is equal to none, and also we will set the outline, it is equal to none. And let me just provide the padding from top and bottom, it is 10 pixels, and then from left and right it is 5 pixels over here. Let me just reverse the padding in this case. So from top and bottom it should be 5, and left and right should be 10 over here. So this is looking more decent in this case. And also we will provide the border radius of, let's say, 5 pixels in this case. So as you can see, we have this remove button over here. We will also set the cursor, it is equal to pointer this time, and also if you want you can provide the transform as well on the mouse over. So I'll leave that up to you as a homework. So these are some of the styling attributes that we have provided over here. Let me just once again click on the remove button. So nothing is happening now. That's because this is the original content that we have provided inside the HTML file. So let me just comment out these lines of code and then save it once again. By default we don't have any notes in this case. So now if we create a new note over here, so let us add some text. So this is note 1, and we will say learn HTML CSS and JavaScript over here. So guys, after adding the first note, we can also add another note in this case. So as you can see, there is a second note that is created. We will say this is another note over here. So basically we have two notes, and let us say the user wants to remove this first note. So basically we can simply click on the remove button over here, and you can see that the note is removed. So guys, this is a very simple notes app that we have created just by using the HTML, CSS and the JavaScript code over here. Now guys, there is one issue in this notes app over here. So first of all, when we remove the first note from this list, so let me just click on the remove button over here. So it is successfully removed. But when we click next time, that is remove button for the second note, it is not getting removed from here. So guys, what we have done is we have used the query selector over here, which is just returning one HTML element. So simply let me just remove the declaration from the top of the JavaScript file, and then let us declare it inside this add node function itself. We have the button remove over here, and instead of having the query selector, we will use query selector all, since we will be having the multiple nodes that are created by the user, and there will be multiple buttons with this particular class. Now guys, after this we need to modify this add event listener little bit. So let me just comment out this line of code, and then what we have to do is, since we are using query selector all, we are going to have the node list over here for the button remove. So simply we will say button remove followed by dot, and we have to make use of the for each method in order to go through all the buttons over here. So simply we will say button, and for every button we have to provide the callback function over here. So in this case we are going to provide button followed by dot, and now we will add the event listener over here. So we have the add event listener, which is going to listen to the click event, and we are going to call the callback function, that is remove note over here. So guys, simply instead of having this one line of code, we are going to store all the buttons with the class that is button remove over here, and we have to go through all those buttons and add the event listeners for them, so that the remove note can be called for those nodes. So let me just save this file now. Let us test this application once again. So when we provide this is node 1, and then simply let me just provide node 2 over here, and let us create another node, that is the third node over here. We say node 3. Now we will be able to remove multiple nodes. So let us remove the node number 2 first of all. So node number 1 and 3 is present. Now let us remove the node 1 as well. So as you can see, node 1 is also removed, and node 3 will be also removed over here when we click on the remove button. So guys, this is the small correction inside this JavaScript code. Comment in the comment section below whether you have learned something out of this video. Please make sure that you like this video so that it reaches to more people, and subscribe to this channel so that you get the notifications on upcoming videos as well. I'll see you in the next video. Till then, stay tuned.